out to Leszewski. Leszewski for three. Got it!
Money, huddle, gotta, cuddle, lot of orders, dollars, quarters.
Welcome back, Irish fans, to Breaking Down Braves Boys podcast. Today we have a really special guest. We got Irish transfer from Stanford, Cormac Ryan. Cormac, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem, man.
We also have Jake on today, too, to help me ask some questions. So how would you describe yourself and your game to Notre Dame fans?
I would describe myself as a competitor, someone who loves to compete, fun. I'm super energetic, super enthusiastic, and I love just playing the game of basketball. It's like pretty much my passion. It's what I love doing the most. So it just brings me a lot of happiness to play. And in terms of my game as a player, I would say that, I'm a playmaker. I can shoot the ball. I can, come off ball screens and create for others. And, I like to really compete on the defensive end as well. I take a lot of pride in that. And so, that's pretty much who I am and how I play and kind of some of the things that I stand for.
We could definitely see that even when you were sitting out. We saw all the energy you and Robbie had on the bench. Could definitely tell.
For sure.
What do you think helped you the most sitting out a year?
What do you think? What do I think helped me the most from sitting out a year? I would say it gave me a lot of time to kind of just reflect on how much I love the game of basketball and how much I miss playing on the sidelines and watching, my guys. It was awesome, but it just makes you miss it. And so that's one thing that, give you a little news flash about how important, and how much the game meant to me. And in terms of as a player, I think it gave me time to kind of really develop my game and get stronger in the weight room. And it, obviously having an entire year to just focus on your craft and focus on things you need to get better on was, actually pretty good. So as much as it was kind of a nuisance and it was a little bit annoying to not be able to play right away. I think the year actually helped me develop a lot as a player and, kind of get used to playing in the system and with kind of our guys and building those relationships. So.
You said you were in the weight room. Did you bulk up a little bit over the year, or was it just
I did. Yeah. And so our strength coach, Tony Rolinski, is one of my, closest relationships on the staff. He's super awesome, loves what he does, brings great energy. And so we, spent 4 days a week all year, in the weight room. We would do four lifts a week. And so, not having the wear and tear of playing games allows you to kind of put some more work in off the court. And so that was something that, I took, both of us kind of were very focused on. So we kind of got that done, which was good. And look forward to kind of getting back in with T-Row. We missed the summer. That's usually his time to kind of really grind us, but we're going to get back to it on August 1st and, hit the ground running.
Mm-hmm. So it was reported in the offseason that you were working out with Durham and Pfluger and TJ Gibbs and Mooney in Vegas. How much have you been able to see your teammates, and when do you think you'll be able to work out with them fully?
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to go out to Vegas and train for about 6 weeks, which was awesome, especially kind of given the shutdowns and everything. It was a little bit hard to find a gym, and so kind of having that opportunity was amazing, especially to go out there with some of my guys. And so, it was good to see our seniors from last year who, we're all really close with, and kind of their journey to playing professional basketball, and then, getting to play with Jawan, who's, obviously coming back and is going to be a big time player for us. And so that was amazing. And in terms of when we're going to get back and start rolling again, I think it's still up in the air. A lot of it is kind of waiting to see what Notre Dame decides and what the NCAA decides is appropriate for kind of returning to play. So, we haven't gotten any real updates on that. So we're kind of just hanging tight.
Mhm.
This issue came up a lot with COVID, and it was an issue before that with eligibility. So Mike Bray is a proponent of a player sitting out a year. Would you say that after sitting out a year, you agree that it helps all players, like both on and off the court? Bray, I know, stressed academically, particularly at Notre Dame. I think, Bray says a lot of players would need that extra year to graduate, and he said he did when he was in college. What would you say for like a player considering transferring? Would you say they should sit out a year? Do you think it's like it depends on the player?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think largely, those decisions are player to player, so they can really vary. I think it kind of depends on your situation and your level of comfort and, kind of the situation that you're going into, or maybe coming from. And so I think it does depend on the player. I think a lot of the points, like you mentioned, Coach Bray stressing is, those are real things. You take a year to get acclimated with school, and you might be going from different levels of academics, or just getting used to campus life or social life or whatever, and getting used to a team. So I think those are all good points. But then again, some players are ready to play right away, and not just from a basketball standpoint, they feel comfortable at the school. So I do think it's player to player, but I think there's definitely some strong arguments on both sides for that.
Um, when you transferred, why did you choose Notre Dame?
I chose Notre Dame because I felt like I had a great relationship with Coach Bray and the staff, and Notre Dame as a school, kind of just the vibe of campus and the people really felt like home to me. It felt somewhere where I would fit in pretty well. And then on the court, really, I saw a group of guys who really love to play the game and play together and play the right way. And who are all really good guys. And so that was pretty much, a no-brainer for me. It was a basketball decision. I'm a basketball guy, and that's going to come first for me. And seeing kind of the way that our team ran and the way that the staff kind of coached and got along with the players, it just seemed like a really great culture and a good fit. And that's exactly what I was looking for.
Mm-hmm. So we touched on this a little bit earlier, but what do you think it'll look like when you get back to campus? Do you think, well, obviously you're not going to get right back into practice, but do you think you guys will be like in a bubble, or have they told you anything like that?
Yeah, so we haven't heard anything specifically about any of the return to play stuff. I think that'll be kind of communicated to us over the next couple of weeks. Everything's on the table. We've seen like what's going on in the NBA and stuff. They're in a bubble and they're trying that out, and hopefully that goes well for our sake. And football's been back on campus, and they did their quarantine, and now they're practicing, and it seems like that's going pretty well. So fingers crossed there. And again, we are still waiting to hear. So I can't really say with any sort of definitive any sort of definitive answer, but I would say hopefully all things going well, we'll be able to kind of hop back into practice and lift it hopefully right away. But that's just I think all the guys are hoping for that, but no one really knows, including the staff. I don't think anyone really knows what the return to play will look like.
Okay, so what would you say the main differences, if there's any, in being recruited as a high schooler versus a transfer player?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, high school recruitment starts a lot earlier. So, coaches have the opportunity to see you from, the time you're a sophomore. And, you basically have 2 to 3 years of being recruited. So it's a lot more long-winded. I think, I announced I was going to transfer in June, and I committed in, the end of July pretty much. So it was, almost like a month and a half period. So it's like way shorter. And so it's kind of, you have to be a lot more, tailored to, who you're talking to, who's recruiting you, who you're going to take visits to, et cetera. And, I think kind of the same in terms of the actual recruitment, I think it's a lot of the same stuff. Recruiting is really just kind of showing players, what a situation looks like and how they fit. And that's kind of the same with both. I think coming from college to a different college, you have a little bit more of an understanding of how a program can work and kind of the season and the things that are important to a college team rather than a high school team. And so that was valuable for me, especially when, picking a school like, Notre Dame. Like I knew kind of what I was looking for, having already kind of gone through it one time. So, I think everything happens for a reason. And, I think that, me landing at Notre Dame was, kind of I couldn't have foreseen it happening coming out of high school, especially, once I announced my commitment. But, then here I am, and it's totally the right place for me. So
I bet you're probably glad you transferred last summer instead of this summer. It's probably a big difference.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this summer, obviously there's been no like real visits, or everything has been closed. So it definitely would have made things a little bit different for me, definitely.
So this is our last main question before we get to the speed round. Rex talked about how he thought you would be a really good vocal leader once the season started and everything. How big do you think losing the summer is in that regard?
I mean, for many reasons, losing the summer is really tough for basketball teams. The summer is a time where you meet your new freshmen, or new transfers or freshmen and all your new players. And so that's, a big blow to kind of getting the wheels turning right away. And the summer is also a time for, like I said, a lot of strength development, a lot of, team chemistry building. You can introduce new things, put in new principles, really get a lot of, reps and hours in with, just playing up and down, getting a feel for guys. So, those are definitely challenges. But I think, at a place like Notre Dame and the people we have, the coaches, players, we're such a tight knit group that, I think the leadership and kind of the chemistry part is going to come very naturally to us, especially, we all know our freshmen and Trey, who's transferred. And so we talk all the time. And, so we feel like it's already, we almost feel like we've already been together, even though we're apart. So I think when we get back to campus, obviously you can't make up for lost time, but, we're gonna, I don't think anyone's too worried about us coming together as a unit, just because we've got great guys and really strong voices and leaders and good personalities.
Mm-hmm. So now on to the speed round. These are more like lighthearted questions. I'm sure you've seen the Mike Bird radio show and stuff like that. First, we got the ongoing debate of a lifetime, LeBron or Jordan.
Who's the GOAT?
Yeah.
Jordan's still got it in my book. Jordan's got the greatest of all time.
Yeah, you're going to have to battle with Matt Zone on that one.
Yeah, I mean, we battle every day with that.
So what would you say there's something that people don't know about you? What would you say that would be?
I like to, I might be, I take basketball very, very seriously, but, I like to have, fun with it too. So, I like to dance. I like to do, I practice like card tricks in my free time and stuff like that. So, it's those are stuff like in the locker room, like we just have a good time with it. And basketball is a serious game, and competing and taking it seriously is definitely a huge part. But also knowing how to kind of unwind and have fun with your teammates and friends is like also a huge part of it.
Will you be challenging Prentice Hub for the best dancer on the team?
I already have him beat. That's not even a challenge.
So you're already the best without playing a game?
P-Hub, I don't know. I mean, P-Hub's got some moves, but we'll see.
Hmm. So which NBA player would you compare yourself to play style wise?
That's a great question. I watch a lot of Devin Booker film. I think his game is really polished. He's like a really elite scorer, but he's very efficient, with his dribbles. I watch a lot of JJ Redick. He's like really a pure shooter, but kind of learning the way that he can kind of move without the ball is really, something that, everyone can really learn from. So probably a combination of those two. Mainly, and then obviously it's fun to watch guys like Steph Curry and guys like Dame Lillard who are just like tremendous scorers, but especially kind of playing in college and looking to play at the next level too. You got to kind of find guys who are similar to you and do similar things and fill similar roles and kind of learn from them. So I'd say kind of a combination of those guys. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So which opposing stadium would you say you're most looking forward to playing in, assuming everything gets back to normal?
Yeah, I mean, I hope we have fans. Who knows what it is? At the end of the day, you play where you play. But, obviously Cameron Indoor, I've never played there. So that would be, a cool place. I've been down to a couple games just like when I was little. And that was, obviously that's, one of the best environments of college basketball. I played at the Dean Dome when I was at Stanford, and that was a really cool environment. So I look forward to getting back there. I've never been to the Carrier Dome, so I've heard that's a really good environment. So probably those three. I mean, those are like obviously the three biggest arenas, big time arenas. But the SEC, part of what makes our league so great is the fans in the league. Really, we have arguably the best fans in college basketball. And so, not having them there will be tough, but it is what it is. Got it. Hopefully that doesn't come to it, but you got to play with the cards you're dealt.
Mm-hmm. So you said you went to Cameron Indoor. Were you a Duke fan growing up? We won't hate you if you say yes.
No. No, I was actually a Notre Dame fan growing up, which is, something that I grew up in New York City. So Notre Dame was in the old Big East when I was a kid. And I was like growing up watching like Ryan Ayers, who's our coach now, play. And he was on a lot of the teams that I was watching. And we used to go to the Big East tournament, which was held in Madison Square Garden every year. And, I'd see them and, Pitt and all those guys play. And Syracuse was in the old Big East. Like it was amazing. So I actually grew up a Notre Dame fan. I played when I moved to Massachusetts. I played on a AAU team called the Middlesex Magic, which is the team Pat Connaughton played for. So I kind of had a relationship with him and our coach, from a young age. And so, yeah, I mean, I've been, pretty much a Big East guy and the old Big East, I guess you could say. And Notre Dame was like, one of my favorite teams growing up. So, I had Luke Herringody, so it was kind of things coming full circle.
Mm-hmm. So what other sports would you say what other sports did you play as a kid besides basketball?
So I played soccer very seriously for a while. I played soccer probably almost as my main sport up until pretty much 8th grade, like right at the beginning of high school. So I was playing soccer and basketball, seriously. And then, I played, Little League baseball and played lacrosse, but soccer and basketball were mainly my two sports. And then, basketball just kind of became, at the forefront, I just, realized I couldn't do both. And, I just love basketball so much that I was just, I let go of soccer and, it was a pretty easy decision, quite frankly. So,
Obviously, you weren't able to play this year. You were at all the games, or at least all the home games. What would you say your favorite game was this year?
My favorite game this year, that's a tough question. I mean, we had some really exciting games at home. Unfortunately, we had too many close games this year, as you guys probably know. We were like heartbroken too many times, but we had a couple ones we snuck out of there. I think, my guy Nate hitting the shot against Toledo was unbelievable. I think that comeback was like probably the best comeback I've ever been a part of. Just like that last, minute and a half of that game was insane. And then the UNC game too, when he hit that shot, was amazing. So I'd probably say those two. Those are like, two of the more exciting moments we had this year that I was able to be at home. But yeah, I mean, we had a lot of good moments. So.
Mm-hmm. Who would you say your favorite player was growing up?
My favorite player growing up was Steve Nash, hands down. That was my guy. I had all his jerseys from Phoenix. I love watching him play. I thought he was just like the coolest dude ever. I love Larry Bird too. Obviously, Jordan, guys like that were just like fun to watch. But I'd probably say Steve Nash for sure growing up.
I don't know how much of a TikTok guy you are, but have you seen Steve Nash's TikToks? He made an account like a week ago.
I'm not a big TikTok guy, to be honest with you. I can't get into that stuff. It's just too much for me. But I'll go check out Steve Nash's TikTok though, for sure. That's my guy.
Mm-hmm. Who would you say your favorite rapper or artist is right now?
Definitely Drake. He's just the GOAT. People think that's a cop-out answer, but if you know me, it goes way deeper than that. So that's my answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a big Kanye guy, so I don't know about the GOAT claim, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, I've had that discussion. I've had that argument with many people. So it is that. Hey, Kanye's got a real claim to the throne, but I got to stay loyal to my guy. But it is what it is.
Yep. And then the last one we have: will you ever make a Twitter?
Will I ever make a Twitter? I don't think so. I mean, I've never really been into that, like in high school with all like the noise around recruiting. That was never kind of my style. Like, I kind of just try and stay, low key. I have Instagram as social media, which I will use here and there. Yeah, I mean, in terms of like a big time Twitter or whatever, I don't think I can see who knows? Never say never, but it hasn't really been something that I've been, missing out on.
Yeah, so that's all we have. Any closing words or anything?
No, thank you guys for having me. I think we're really excited for this year. I know I am. I'm just fingers crossed for as much of a regular season, as possible, without restrictions. But you got to do what you got to do. And, when we get back, hopefully we hit the ground running right away and there's no hiccups. But yeah, I mean, we're all really excited and, I'm sure everyone else is really excited too. So yeah, that's it for me. Go Irish, man.
Go Irish. That's all we have. I don't even know if Jake, any closing words? Oh, never mind.
Thank you for getting on. It was a pleasure having you. I'm really looking forward to seeing you play, particularly this season. I think you're going to add a lot to the team. It's going to be a big help, and go Irish.
Yeah, appreciate it for sure.
So that's all we have for today. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks, Cormac, for coming on again, and see you guys later. Peace.